Hey guys. Hey everybody. Wow, people's already hanging out. Cool. Sorry for the slight delay there. I had to get some stuff around before I started. Give it just a minute here for 3:30 to roll around, and I'll get this build started. Let me know if you can't hear me very well. I have a rail cord next to me printing out some parts that I have to get done pretty quickly here, so probably about a half hour left on that print, of course. So it's if that's too noisy, let me know and I can. Thank you, Chronix. You're so helpful. Before I get started here, I want to say thanks again to E3D for letting me participate in the beta. It's a pleasure. Thanks to Phyllis Truder. Thanks to all the members of the Railcore community that donated and helped make this possible. Certainly out of my normal 3D printing budget, so the donations definitely help. If you do want to donate to the Railcore R&D efforts for the ToolChanger or otherwise, there are links to do so on kraegar.com. That's KRAEGAR.com. Yeah, thanks to the community as a whole. See how much of this I can get done today. So as I get started here, E3D has divided up the ToolChanger build into 5 different documents, 5 different build guides. The first of those is the motion system assembly. So that's the one I plan to do today. That'll be assembling the frame, essentially. I'm not going to get into the electronics. I'm not going to get into the ToolChanger itself today, or certainly have a running printer today. So this should be a pretty quick live stream. But hopefully you'll enjoy seeing how the motion system goes together. Got to warn you, I did not read the documents ahead of time, so I'm going through this pretty much live. I glanced at them, but I did not give them a full read. So with that said, let's see what my first steps are. I need some tools. I did look at this. I need some thread lock. Got thread lock. I need a 12mm spanner. Got that. It says I need some Allen keys. Handy tip: if you're into 3D printing, you end up with an Allen key collection. I keep a secrets tin full of Allen keys. Very handy. Lots of different sizes there. And then I need some nuts and bolts, which I assume are all in this pack. I can see the feet and some other things in there, so I assume that's it. Parts. I need the XY assembly. I need the Z assembly. I need 4 extrusions. I need the base plate, which I have behind me. Some bolts, some feet, some screws, and some T-nuts. So all of that should be in the back. What I'm going to do is take this bag and to make it slightly easier to find what I want, I've got a nice little bin here, and I'm just going to dump that in there. While that's going, I will note, so one of the steps for one of the later portions for the ToolChanger requires a bearing be seated into the ToolChanger plate. So I went ahead and did that, used thread locker. I have that in there and that's curing. So that's the only step I've done so far, is to get that prepped so that probably tomorrow or the next day when I do the ToolChanger live stream, and I do plan to live stream all 5 portions. That's done. Okay, so Windows updates. No, not today. Okay, so the first thing I need is the base. So I'll get this out of the way. That was just there to look nice for the screenshot. And it says to put the base on your workbench, position it upright as shown. Not sure how you tell which side is upright. It looks like a mirror copy to me. So there's no markings or anything. So we'll go with upright like that. It looks symmetrical to me, yeah. So we'll call that upright. Position it upright as shown. Align an extrusion to the holes. Let's say which holes, so I'll just choose one. Secure with a single M8 20mm screw. Grab a ruler around here somewhere. I'd like to verify that's a 20mm screw. There it is. Oh. Just make sure I'm using the right ones. And it says in the position shown. So you put the bolt into the, I don't know if you can see here, you put them into the inside hole, not the outside hole. I'm guessing so that the feet can go on corners. So it's about a 5mm thick aluminum sheet, I would estimate. Yeah, Renee, I figured they were for feet on the outside. So there's one. And sure enough, the next thing we do is we put a foot in the outside hole. There's one. Repeat for the other feet. I'm using a scrap piece of HDPE for the yeah, Ken, the squealing is most likely my rail core doing fast travel moves. I've got a print I have to get finished that is running right beside me. So if it gets too loud, I can pause it. If you guys really can't hear me, let me know. And another foot. That direction. Hey Renee, since you're here, do the side panels go on at the same time as the electronics panel, or do those go on later? Do you know? I did not see the side panels mentioned in the instructions, and I was curious about those. Okay, so I don't need those today. Cool. I have side panels here behind me. Actually, thanks to Joe Spanier for cutting those. He was able to mill them cheaper than I could, so that was much appreciated. For now, I'm just finger tightening everything. And if anybody has any questions, just ask. I'm happy to answer them while I build. Okay, so we have 4 feet. By the way, the feet are kind of cool. They're on nubs, so they can self-adjust, which is pretty neat. Like that. Let's see here. What's my next instruction? Repeat the process on the other 3 corners of the base. Then it goes on to base, and it says, fit the remaining 2 extrusions to the base. Remember to fit the feet to the corners. I think that's kind of a redundant step. So now it looks like I turn this upright. And I need the acrylic sheet. So that's the acrylic E3D cut, which I know I'm going to have to drill through. I hope I don't crack it or anything when I do that. But I'm going to have to drill new holes for my power supply. It won't fit the way it is. So I need to deburr it. The outside is good. Let's see what it looks like when I pull the film off. Well, the bits are not punched out in the center, so that's certainly going to have to be done, and that's probably what you're talking about with deburring. Got it. Thanks for the heads up. If I had known that, I would have found my deburring tool first, but I did not. Toss that in the trash. It's a nice piece of polycarbonate. There is a 0% chance I will find my actual deburring tool. Nice piece of acrylic. Looks like the stepper holes aren't quite punched all the way through. By the small rectangular hole in the middle. That's not actually too bad on mine. Maybe yours didn't cut all the way through or something. I'm not sure. How did you punch out the stepper spacers there, Renee? Because those are in there solid. All right, I'm trying. There we go. Man. Yeah, I'm not noticing any sharp burrs on mine. Yeah, that's some considerable force to get those out, though. I don't want to use anything sharp here like a screwdriver because I'd scratch the heck out of this if I slip. So if you guys didn't guess, Renee is also in the beta. He is the creator of the Dice 3D printer. There's 2 out, and is a bit ahead of me on his assembly. So the last one came out a little easier. So there's those. So Renee, hey Greg, just checking here. I'm not noticing any sharp edges. Are you concerned about cable dragging for deburring? Because I can run a Stanley knife blade over those real quick. I'll do that. Just using a Stanley knife to round those corners a little bit. Well, Greg, you didn't mention a blowtorch in the assembly guide, so I didn't get my torch ready. So I'm just running a Stanley knife along the back side of the, just dragging it backward, and that takes a nice edge off of them pretty quickly. So. Yeah, that's not sharp now. So, Mark, that is a rail core running in the background. I had a print. Sorry, I couldn't cancel it, so there's some background noise. I kind of blew up some idlers and got behind on a commissioned print I have, so that's running in the background. Okay, so I deburred that square hole. Install M6 T-nuts with M6 10mm screws into the panel. Doesn't really say how many, but it looks like all of the side holes get them, and the strip down the center gets them. So. It also doesn't say which direction to orient them. The center T-nuts, look at the images. It's really hard to see. Okay, so if I look at this, and I compare to their image, Greg, you need better images here. It's really hard to see. The hole in the middle needs to be on the right as you look at it from the front. Okay. I have my printer base backwards, so let me turn it around. So it's the correct direction from me. Hey, Rover. Okay. So the hole in the center needs to be on the right as I look at it from the front. Yeah, no, that's okay. That's kind of the point of doing a live stream, is to help find those kind of issues. So I'm going to turn this. Hey, Sheldon. I'm going to turn this so it's facing you, Greg, and you tell me if this is correct. So this is looking at it from the front. Here's the hole is closer to the right, and I think it sits like that. And it sits on the inside like that, is what I gather. Yeah, Renee, these are the updated ones I just downloaded today. It's just a little hard to see. I'm also using a tiny little laptop for the instructions, so that makes it more fun. Okay. And then the center ones, you say face in towards the inside of the printer instead of the outside, because that'll be where the Z-axis is installed. So that makes sense. Just had to get the plate aligned right. So yeah, Greg, an idea for the manual would be to get that picture a little clearer so you can see which direction the panel is in it. Got it, Renee. That's helpful. Thank you. So there's one side, middle row. So if anybody has questions about the ToolChanger itself, now's a great time to ask, because we have Renee and Greg both in the channel. Greg's the primary designer of it, I believe, and Renee has just recently built his. So center ones are done. Top edge ones. Helps put those in the right way. Yeah, Chronics, I've not seen them say when either will be available, the ToolChanger itself or the motion system. I think they're going to try and fulfill all the kind of pre-ordered ones first, and then distribute from there. So I'm sure it'll be some delay while they get all those shipped. Okay, so that's all the T-nuts in loosely. So let's skip down. And we slide the T-nuts. Lord, I hate T-nuts. Yeah, those pre-tapped extrusions are are very pretty, especially Renee, if you've seen anybody live stream or stream building their rail core. Tapping the extrusions is just painful, and these are very nice. I am jealous. And I'm glad I do not have to tap these. The M8 pre-tapped extrusions are, yeah. Okay, so I have the panel in the extrusions. Now I place the top assembly on. So, grab my top assembly. And it sits on something like this. Maybe. Am I hitting something? There we go. Had it shifted over one. So let me pause here. Let me show you this. This is pretty clever, and I like it. So there are, if you can see it right here, slots cut in the acrylic, pre-cut for the belts. So the lower belt slots in here, the upper belt slots in here when you sit it down on. So that keeps the stepper on the back side of the acrylic back here, and pre-cut slots on both sides for the belts. It's pretty clever. Nice touch. Hopefully the camera is aligned okay again. I like that, Greg. That's a good touch there. So back to where I was. Just have to line the belts right. So there we go. Be careful not to twist or trap a belt. Shit, both belts are in. Yeah, Donis, it has not mentioned the Z yet, which seems odd, like that's not going to work. Greg or Renee, do I need to stop and put the Z axis on here? Yeah, I don't see a way the Z is going to go in through these T-nuts with, well, I was just following the guide, but I agree. There's no way you can put the Z on once this is on with the T-nuts there. So, Greg, it looks like that's a change for the instructions. Wait, you say I don't need to put the Z-axis on yet? How can you put the Z-axis on with the top on? And shove it in sideways. I don't understand how I could shove it in sideways with the T-nuts here. Oh, I see. Well, it seems pretty simple to, I got it. Okay, Greg, I'll follow your manual. I'll put that down. I'll just keep following along. Greg, I told you I pretty purposely did not read the manual before I started. So, because I wanted to learn as I was live streaming. That's the fun in a live stream. Okay. So it wants me to go ahead and thread lock the top bolts in. Each of the E3D V6 tools includes the carrier and dock for that tool, so that's why they're priced the way they are. It's not just a V6; it's the threaded heat sink and the carrier to pick it up and drop it off and all of that stuff. I read the instructions as I go, and I'm pretty careful about following them, but I specifically did not want to pre-read them before the live stream so that I could learn and have it be more genuine, you know, follow the instructions, see what I get. It seemed the most honest way to get, you know, direct feedback on how the instructions read. So I'm putting a bit of thread lock on each of these, but I am not fully tightening them because it says not to. Yeah, building and modding is where all the fun printers are. Printing is just a byproduct of building and modding printers. I should note that I could sit my entire rail core inside the build volume of this printer. Quite easily. The 250. The 300, I think, would be about the same size. I don't have a 300, believe it or not. I only have the 250s. Yes, I could sit my entire rail core 250 inside of this and have it fit just fine. The entire printer. Yeah, the assembly guide or the manufactured parts, I mean, these are gorgeously machined parts. They've really done a good job making a very nice printer. It's impressive. Okay, it says to check the alignment of all the extrusions. I'm not sure what I'm aligning it to, but I'll square it up as best I can and take it down. Hey, my print's done. So that'll make it more quiet in here. I need a bigger Allen wrench. Hopefully I have bigger ones here. There we go. Trying to be careful in my alignment here. No, everything so far is very nicely, Alan Key, thank you. Everything so far is very nicely manufactured and machined, very well thought out. Okay, so all the bolts, not screws, Greg, bolts, are tightened on the top assembly. And it all looks nice and square. So now it says base alignment. Lay the assembly on its back. It's pretty heavy. Remove a foot and apply a small amount of thread lock before refitting the foot. Thread lock around the bolt. Add the bolt on. I would say so far my thoughts on this are that it's really nicely assembled. The machining and the overall quality of all the parts are top notch. Obviously, got to see how the final build goes and installing the tool changer. Everything I've heard so far seems to be it's all top notch. So yeah. So that's a fun one. My 12mm wrench barely fits under the foot, but it does. So there's that. Pop the next one off. I'm waiting on the hot end to cool down, and then I'll shut off the rail core, and that should quiet that. The noise right now is just the power supply fan. I have a cheap power supply in it, and it's kind of loud. But Okay. Now we'll repeat with the bottom corners. Yeah, I mean, even right down to the manufacturing of the feet, everything on this, I don't know if those were custom made for this or if they're repurposed, but everything is just top notch. The motors, the XY steppers are outside of the acrylic. The Z stepper will sit inside the acrylic. Not much aligning I can do on the bottom here. It's okay. Once it's together, I'll check it and see if it's square. So, getting this foot put back on, one more bolt, we'll be done with this step. Trying to keep an eye on the live stream while I'm building, so if I miss a question, hopefully I'll see it in a second. Okay, so there's that. Step 11, feet. Tighten the feet. I did that. Okay, so looks like I stand it back up now. So the carriages are hanging down, yes, and then the X carriage is pointing up. So I need to align my T-nuts vertically here. So now I fit my Z-axis into the assembly. So I should be able to slide this. So Greg, I got to ask, what's the advantage of installing it here rather than earlier, it really goes in pretty easy. So I can't say there's a big problem with this. All the T-nuts aligned fine. It popped right in. Motor at the bottom, check. A little bit of thread lock on 2M820. Gotcha. So when you say to align the four corners, I just align them with the front of the frame on the front. The back are inset, so I didn't really have an alignment point. Should I be using like a set of calipers or something to align those so they're square to the outside, or should they self-align, or what am I aligning those to? Because I don't know that I really align them all that well. Or Renee, if you can share how you align those. Okay, well, I can check with my calipers and see how things lined up. Getting a little binding on the second bolt here. Okay, that's what I did, Renee. It looks pretty square. The Z seems a little more finicky to align than those were. Hey, John. So I just got the Z-axis top portion installed. And now we'll scroll down, lay the assembly back on its back again. No surprise there. And got to pick up a little bit on the Z-axis to get this bolt in. Yeah, Ken, no doubt. This is an entire new printer Core XY design, so there's a lot we're testing out here. It's very cool to be a part of. And while I'm down here, I'm supposed to, this is glue. I'm going to use just a little bit of thread locker on the final foot, which goes oh, I see. I did that wrong. I put two M8s in and one of them is supposed to be a foot. You'd think I would have gotten the pattern of it down by that point. No, Ken, those were all separate. So 4 Titans, or I did 4 BMGs just to annoy Greg. Not really. I did 4 BMGs because I like BMGs. It's 4 V6s that include the carriers. Those were all separate. I have a heck of a time getting my wrench on these feet to get them tightened down. Okay. Return the assembly to its feet. There we go. So ensure the assembly is level. Did I get a level handy? That's a good question. Should have one here. Okay, my level is probably in my toolbox, which is behind the laptop I'm live streaming off of. Okay, there's very little chance this is level. Let's see. Well, how about that? It's level. Huh. Would not have guessed that. Let's see if the top is level to the bottom. Remarkably so. This is a little makeshift table I put together just for the check the 4 screws of the Z carriage first. Oh, you're saying off of here? It's all surprisingly level. 2 of us have them loose. I'm not sure what you mean. Are you talking these bolts here that hold the Z to the carriage? Gotcha. So I'll double check that the Z is held tight to the carriage. Too big. No, these are all tight. These are the ones you're talking. And just for kicks, I'll double check the stepper is tight. Actually, those are totally loose. So the ones that are loose for me are my stepper. I'm getting at least a quarter to a half turn on each of these stepper bolts. Yeah, I'm gonna do that now. If I can get to spot check the rail. No, those are all super tightened down. Those are all good. For me, it was just the stepper bolts. These 4, the 4 on the Z carrier were all tight, but these on the stepper were loose. While I'm here, Okay. So my next step, to 4 M4 10mm screws, add an M4 washer, and apply a small amount of thread lock. So that would be these. Yeah, guys, I mean, remember, this is a beta, so this kind of thing's expected. That's why we do betas. So 3 and 4. I'm just going to dump my M4 bolts in here. Okay, 4 M4 bolts, 4 M4 washers, some thread lock. Yeah, Renee and Michael Hackney and a few others, Joe Spanier, have been just finding all kinds of issues. So I'm actually benefiting from their earlier builds. I'm definitely not the first to assemble this. So I'm reviewing the beta 1.1 documentation, I guess. Okay, affix the bed assembly to the Z-axis. So this is the bed assembly. Sits up here. Yeah, I mean, Greg literally uploaded new PDFs for me for my live stream here, very shortly before I started streaming, to make sure I had the latest. So it is bolted together. There's a U-shaped bent piece of aluminum bolted to the bottom of the kind of X-shaped part that you see there. One. Yeah, there's no doubt this is going to be rock solid once it's together. It's by far the beefiest 3D printer bed I've seen for a carrier. It weighed one more bolt. Already has Loctite on it. Yes, all 4 of them have Loctite, Greg. Okay, so I'm going to lightly tighten that down, and then I will check and compare the bed to the frame. So my bed's a little out of level from the frame in X, just a tad. And I'll compare to the base plate. Nicely centered. Top plate, nicely centered. So I'm very good in this direction, but it needs to go up just slightly here. So quick manual adjustment there. Now, Renee, I already got in trouble once for not following the instructions, so. And I'll probably go through and, that's true, but he comes to Murph and he's a big guy. I don't want to make Greg mad at me. I will go through with a square and double check everything is nice and square. The bubble level method is fine for now. Listen. Hey, listen to that silence. Okay, so the bed's on. It measures with the bubble level to the bed. Guess I could check it. I have a digital level here somewhere. See if I can find that real quick. Yeah, of course not. I'm the best at losing things. Okay, so no one will be surprised I couldn't find that. Okay, so that's the bed. So now it says tighten the T-nuts on the acrylic. Wow, this thing is heavy. That is one solid printer. Greg, do you know what the motion system itself weighs? Wrong Allen wrench. Wrong Allen wrench. I was just curious. Okay, Greg, those tightened down just fine. So that was no problem. Get these here, and I'm done with this this first guide. I'm just snugging these up. I'm not over tightening them. I don't want to crack my nice acrylic panel here. And there we go. So that completes the first document, the motion system assembly for the E3D ToolChanger beta. Spin that around here so you can see it. So that's the motion system itself, fully assembled. I have a nice XY axis pre-assembled that bolted on. I don't know what the material is, Jeff. It's referred to as acrylic, so I'll call it acrylic. It might be, it's probably polycarbonate. It's very, very nice, nicely cut. So I have a XY stage and a Z stage installed, squared up. It looks nice. I'll double check everything with calipers and squares. Okay, Greg says it's acrylic. So my plan is to double check that I have all the components needed for the next guide, and then I'll do another live stream once I have everything I need for that, and I'll live stream each of the 5 build guides, and hopefully by the end of it have a nice working tool changer, and I'll even do a live stream for the first motion steps and getting the tools aligned and going through that. So the plan is to go through it all methodically, 1 live stream per session, and or 1 live stream per build guide, and that way it's all nice and segmented out. So like I said, this is the end of the first one. Thanks everybody for watching. Give you a last chance to ask any questions before I turn it off, especially in relation to the building of the frame that I did today for the tool changer, or the motion system really for the tool changer. I gotta say, for an XYZ assembly, this was dead easy. I mean, it all bolted together very cleanly. All the parts are just fantastically machined. Everything fits very nicely. There's no, having to force anything or shove anything into place. It all just bolted together really cleanly. The instructions are good. Thank you, Greg, for chiming in and going through that. Yeah. So yeah, give me a thumbs up on YouTube. Again, I fund a lot of this out of pocket, the R&D. Ultimately, my goal with the tool changer is to adapt it to the rail core. So that's where I'm looking. If you want to help fund that R&D process, craigar.com, I'll put it in the YouTube comments, has a link to that. Donations are welcome for that, and any other rail core R&D. The goal is absolutely to fit the tool changer component to the rail core. And that's why I'm in the beta. So again, thanks to E3D for letting me be in the beta, Phyllis Struder for their help, Duet for their help, and huge thanks to everybody that has donated. It wouldn't be possible if people hadn't. So thanks again, and I'll end the stream if there are no more questions. All right, I'll do another one of these when I have everything for the next step. Thanks, everybody. Oh, one quick question. So yes, the way the Project R3D, Project Red rail core sales are, we haven't set it up yet, but they are going to give a licensing fee of sorts to the rail core team, which is myself and J. Steve White. That we'll use for R&D type purposes for the rail core primarily. So that will happen. It's not quite set up yet, but they're keeping track of how many they've sold, and we'll straighten that out with them. So Yeah. Yep. All right. Thanks everybody for tuning in. And I'll get another one of these going in a couple days here when I have all the components for the next step.